Good morning. How are you? And thank you for coming back today to what is a sound that is very special because it has two different letters that make the same sound. Shall we see what it is together? So make sure your fingers are ready to do some writing. Can you give them a wriggle, give them a squeeze if you need to, because we can either try and write our letters on some paper or you can try it in the air with your fingers. So there are two letters that make the same sound. The first one starts at the top and goes round and down at the same time, back round a bit and stop. And the second one, not going to tell you what it is yet, the second one has a line from the top all the way down, a straight line, nearly straight, and then down just under the middle. You can do two kicking legs, one up a little bit, one down, and make yourself, do you know what it is? K, k, k sound. Well done. Two different ways of making the k, k, k sound. And if you want to try it with your fingers, there's two different ways to do that as well. You can do your curly k, k, k with your fingers, or the other one's a little bit trickier. You need that line, and then you're kicking k, k, k. A little bit fiddly, but have a try and see how you get on. And you might even be able to do them both in your letters and sounds book. I've put them in mine. I did them together because they're the same sound. K, k, k. K for camel or K for kangaroo. Can you have a try and add them to your book and see how you get on? When you've done that, there's a challenge. And today's challenge is all about a k, k, k clock. So we're going to try and make a clock. All you need, you might need a paper plate. You've got a paper plate? Or can you cut a circle out of paper? Or just draw a circle on your paper or on your chalkboard. And then you need to add your numbers. So I have written my numbers on my clock. Can you see? All the way from number 1, round the circle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and back to 12 at the top. So you can write your numbers straight on your clock, or you could ask a grown-up to help you and have some numbers on paper, and you could stick them in the right places and learn how your clock goes. And then I made myself some hands for my clock, just with a little bit of card or a little bit of paper, and I put blue tack on the top, on the back. You need a long one and a short one. And because it's about 10 o'clock now, I'm going to put my short one pointing from the middle to number 10. And then to show it's o'clock, I'm going to put my long one pointing straight up to the top to number 12. And then everyone who sees my video knows that I made it at about 10 o'clock. And then I was so excited by my clock, I even made a mini one, a little clock. I used a small piece of paper, I put my numbers on there, and then I stuck it on some tube from a kitchen roll. And now I can check my clock whenever I want to. Can you see it on there? So do you think you can make a clock today? I'll be very impressed to see how you get on. But before you do go and make your clocks, I found a story about a cat that I'd like to share with you. This cat is called Tabby McTat, and this book was written by Julia Donaldson, tells me down there. So shall we have a quick look at the Tabby McTat story, and then you can go off and see how you get on with adding your k to your letters and sounds book and making your k clock. Shall we see what happens here? Tabby McTat was a busker's cat with a meow that was loud and strong. The two of them sang of this and that, and people threw coins in the old checked hat, and this was their favourite song. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly happy we are. What a happy pair. One morning, while Fred ate some bacon and bread, McTat took a stroll round the block. Then he stopped, for there on a doorstep sat a gorgeously glossy and green-eyed cat. She was black with one snowy white sock. Sock and McTat had a cat-to-cat chat, and that's how their story began. For while they were chatting of this and of that, let's see what happened. Oh no! A thief had his eye on the old checked hat. He eyed it, he snatched it, he ran. The busker gave chase, but he tripped on a lace, and crash, in a flash he was down. He broke his leg, oh poor Fred, and he banged his head, and he ended up in a hospital bed, in a faraway part of town. Oh, that's very sad. Goodbye, McTat said. I must get back to Fred. But where had the busker gone? The sun went down, and the sky grew black. The stars came out, but he didn't come back. McTat lingered on and on. How do you think he feels? I think he might be a little bit sad. A week later, Sock took a stroll round the block and found her new friend looking thin. "He's gone off and left me," said Tabby McTat. Then Sock said, "My people, Prunella and Pat, would gladly find room for a fine tabby cat." She was right, and they took McTat in. That's lucky. Next morning, old Fred left his hospital bed, and he found his way back to the square. But a brass band stood where the pair once sat, and the band played this and the band played that, and Fred looked all round for his loud meowed cat. But Tabby McTat wasn't there. Is he going to find him? Now McTat had a wife and a very full life, with plenty of things to do, like washing Prunella and pouncing on Pat, and hiding the car keys under the mat, and keeping the newspapers nice and flat, and giving the pens an occasional pat, and nibbling this and nibbling that. But he dreamed of his friend with the old checked hat, and always woke up with a meow. And often he said what's happened to Fred, and his paws took him back to the square. But a conjurer stood where the pair once sat, and he pulled out this and he pulled out that, and people threw coins in the tall black hat. But the busker was never there. One morning Sock said, "Look under the bed and see the 3 kittens I've had." Ah, and Soames looked like this, and Susan like that, and the littlest kitten, called Samuel Sprat, looked exactly the same as his dad. The 3 kittens grew, and they learnt how to mew, and McTat sometimes sang them his song. And Samuel Sprat, with his tabby grey fur, had a deafening meow and a very loud purr, and he simply loved singing along. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly happy we are. When Susan and Soames found very good homes, their parents were happy and proud. There was one home like this, and one like that. But nobody wanted poor Samuel Sprat. They all said, "His voice is too loud." Now Tabby McTat was a home-loving cat, but he couldn't stop dreaming of Fred. And one day he called for his wife and his son, and he told them, "There's something that has to be done. I must go and find him," he said. Is he going to find him? So up and down and all over town he wandered a whole week long, for many a morning and afternoon, by the light of the sun and the light of the moon, till he heard a familiar song. What did he hear? "Just me and the old guitar, if I had a cat I'd be happier far. Just me and the old guitar, with my cat I'd be happier far." It's Tabby McTat, my long-lost cat. Old Fred was ecstatically glad. Then the 2 of them sang of this and that, and people threw coins in the old checked hat. But why did McTat feel sad? He was missing his wife and his comfortable life, and the dozens of things to do, like washing Prunella and pouncing on Pat, and hiding the car keys under the mat, and keeping the newspapers nice and flat, giving the pens an occasional bat. But how could he tell the busker that? Then out from a shadow sprang Samuel Sprat. "Oh, please let me be the busker's cat," he said with his deafening mew. Now Samuel Sprat is the busker's cat, with a meow that is loud and strong. The two of them sing of this and that, though Samuel sings just a little bit flat, and people throw coins in the old checked hat, and this is their favourite song. Me, you and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you and the old guitar, how perfectly happy we are. The end, and I think everybody lived happily ever after. Thank you for listening to our story today. Have fun trying to make your clocks, and we will see you tomorrow for another letter and sound. Bye bye.